Bathurst, the circuit America has never fully faced. In Australia, a road with concrete walls positioned a hand's width from the racing line is carved into the side of a mountain and has claimed 16 lives. This is Mount Panorama, which is located inside the New South Wales town of Bath. It is not a purpose-built racetrack in the way American ovals are. Residents use this public road every day. It is only closed during race events, and police patrol it the rest of the year while enforcing a speed restriction of 60 km per hour. The circuit is 6.2 kilometers long, with grades as steep as 1 and 6 and a vertical elevation difference of 174 m between its highest and lowest points. Ordinary drivers are permitted to travel the whole lap in both directions on non-rainy days. A nearly unthinkable event at any American oval. A completely distinct type of racing has been the foundation of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, or NASCAR as it is known worldwide. 40 cars, 500 lap races, and door-to-door contact at speeds close to 200 miles per hour. There is no other motorsport format that can match the extraordinary skill set, closing speeds, drafting, and pack racing required by that format. The elite status of NASCAR's best drivers is undeniable. This article poses a different question. What happens if the same talent is put on a mountain circuit that was never intended to have forgiving barriers, drafting, or ovals? The machines themselves are where the technical distinctions between the two groups start. A NASCAR Next G vehicle can generate up to 670 horsepower and weigh about 3,200 pounds. A sequential 5-speed gearbox powers it. Crucially, that gearbox has computerized rev matching. Both hands can remain on the wheel through oval traffic while a driver downshifts because part of the procedure is handled by the electronics. The Gen 3 Supercar utilized at base weighs about 2,940 pounds and has a 5L V8 engine that generates about 600 horsepower. For downshifting, there is no electronic support. During a downhill on a 1 in 6 gradient, drivers must manually heel and toe, which means that the right foot blips the throttle while the heel simultaneously applies the brake, dropping 2 gears. The car's rear may lock if the blip is timed incorrectly. Additionally, a mistake usually ends at a concrete wall, in contrast to an oval where a spinning automobile frequently discovers gravel. The 2022 Daytona 500 winner, Austin Cindric, put this contrast to the test by getting ready for a supercar appearance with Tickford Racing prior to the Adelaide finale. Speaking about the Gen 3 Mustang compared to his NASCAR machine, he noted it drives a lot better. It has higher over-body downforce though. Just by looking at the car, you can tell that it is lighter, has grippier tires, and performs better overall. He went on to explain how the car reacts differently when it comes into touch with track elements, saying, "I've really had to talk myself into using the curb as much as I can with this car. Yes, it has a greater impact on the driver, but the car maintains its grip. In contrast, I would be in the blue tent if I struck some of these curbs in a cup car. I think in a lot of ways quite a bit of what I expected," Cindric said, acknowledging that a large portion of his expectations came true. "It's helpful to feel it out, sort of put what I've done in terms of preparation, having a sense of it, and actually put some relevance behind some of the questions that I might or might not have. Work on some of the tactics." A large portion of the cultural differences between the two types of racing are defined by this variance in contact tolerance. Using the wall is frequently a purposeful tactic in NASCAR. Leaning on a competitor's bumper or scrubbing speed against the safety barrier is regarded as standard racecraft, and the bump and run is a well-known tactic. Almost none of that margin is offered by Bathurst. The cutting, which consists of 2 left-hand turns that lead to a steep exit, is infamously challenging to recover from if an automobile spins because of the small area and steep incline, which make it nearly impossible to restart without rolling backward. During the 2005 Super Cheap Auto 1000, drivers Marcos Ambrose and Greg Murphy engaged in a well-known altercation in the same area when they both refused to yield, partially obstructing the course. McPhillamy Park poses a whole other risk. Drivers must commit to a corner they cannot see with a concrete wall waiting on the exit because it is a rapid downhill left-hander that is totally blind due to a crest right before the turn-in point. While sharing the car with opponent Peter Brock, legendary driver Alan Moffat crashed here during practice for the 1986 James Hardy 1000, hitting the wall head-on. Similar harsh history can be found in other parts of the circuit. Drivers that drift too wide on exit have been punished with Griffin's Bend, a negatively cambered right-hander. David Bizard, for example, was involved in a catastrophic disaster there in 2011 after leaving the pit lane with insufficient front brake pressure on new brakes. In Bathurst's history, Corrie Corner has a special place. Most notably from the 1980 Hardy Feroto 1000 when Dick Johnson struck a massive boulder that had been dislodged from the spectator area, wrecking his car while running in the lead. This terrain poses risks that are neither speculative nor limited to the past. Defending champion Chaz Mort terminated his season with a fractured left wrist and a damaged left femur after he clipped a wall in the woodland elbow portion during the 2015 Bathurst 1000 qualifying. 7 track marshals were involved in the incident, according to officials. 2 of them received treatment at the Circuit Medical Center, while 1 was admitted to the hospital due to a chest injury. The driver's first words to most at the hospital center, according to team principal Tim Edwards, were, "Thank God we signed that contract a couple of months ago." After the collision, fellow driver Jamie Winup considered the risk involved in the sport, declaring, "Seeing an accident like Chaz's is never pleasant. It serves as a reminder that we are ultimately strapped into missiles and that our sport is risky." After a collision at Reed Park during his 2013 Bath debut, this was Most's second significant accident at the track in 3 years. One of the more technically challenging parts of the lap is the Forest's elbow, a left-hander that descends slowly and has unfavorable camber, which causes the road to tilt against the direction of the turn. It goes straight onto Conrad Straight, the circuit's fastest stretch, where supercars have been known to reach speeds of around 300 km per hour. Shane van Gisbergen, a 3-time supercar champion who tackles this corner differently than most competitors, has come to be strongly connected with it. Van Gisbergen uses the camber to accelerate the exit rather than fighting against it by carrying the car into the turn with the rear already rotating and feeding in throttle while the car is still sliding, instead of braking early to settle the car before the adverse camber can unsettle it. Due to the length of Conrad Straight, little improvements made at the conclusion of bends like this compound considerably by the time a car reaches the straight's end. That same ability set translated directly when Van Gisbergen went into NASCAR competition in July 2023. He won the Grant Park 220 on the Chicago Street Course in his maiden Cup Series start while driving the number 91 Chevrolet for Trackhouse Racing's Project 91 program. This made him the first driver to win on his NASCAR Cup Series debut since Johnny Rutherford did so 60 years prior. Questioned later if he thought he could win before making his debut, Van Gisbergen replied, "No, of course not, but you always dream of it. Many thanks to Enhanced Health Project 91 and the Trackhouse team. What a thrilling experience in this audience. This was really awesome. You dream of this. Wow, when we had that back strategy back to 18th, I started to worry a bit, but the racing was really good," he said, reflecting on the strategy that developed during the race. "Hopefully, I can come and do more." Everyone was courteous. Although difficult, it was a lot of fun. Van Barren has now spoken publicly about how that same skill set would transfer if NASCAR drivers tried the reverse voyage into Supercars competition. "I would have loved to see how Kyle Busch went last year in the Supercar," he remarked, referring specifically to Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. "Although it would have been extremely challenging, I'm confident that he would have performed exceptionally well if he had taken it seriously. I hope that occurs this year. Actually, there are discussions about Kyle Larson going to do it. Yes, if they have any questions, I would be happy to assist them. I would be quite curious to see how these turned out." Van Gisbergen has also stated that any driver in the top 10 of the Supercar Championship would be able to accomplish what he did in his own NASCAR debut, according to reporting by journalist Bob Pokras. This indicates his belief that road course skill developed at circuits like Bathurst carries true transferable value. "One that stands out to me, and hopefully I can put it together down the road, is I'd like to run a supercar, in particular in Adelaide," said Kyle Larson, the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion and 30-time Cup race winner. "It's the end for them. I could do both because the city also has a sprint car track. I would like to do that," he continued. "Some discussions have taken place. We'll see how it develops. It's difficult to look that far forward at the moment. We are deeply rooted in the Cup season, and Indy is a huge deal at the moment." Larson had acknowledged the scheduling issue and shown a similar level of curiosity a year prior, stating, "I enjoy doing what I get to do. I would run the majority of the Cup schedule for sure. I guess there's more shows in other nations. It would be interesting if I could run like a V8 supercar. It would be great to get to do based, but there are just conflicts. The year doesn't have enough days." Larson had been slated to make his Supercars debut as a wild-card entry with Premier Racing at the 2025 Adelaide Grand Final alongside an appearance in the event's accompanying Sprint Car Speedway program. However, after a challenging attempt to finish both the Indianapolis 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 on the same day, he pulled out of the plan in June 2025. He crashed in both races during this period. These verified incidents demonstrate how difficult it is to transfer skills between NASCAR and supercars. The two fields require essentially distinct methods that are developed through various types of repetition. Drafting instinct, patience in traffic, and controlled contact across 500 laps are all rewarded by NASCAR. A driver's ability to trust adverse camber, commit to blind corners, and do manual heel and toe downshifts on a gradient where a locked rear wheel may terminate a season in an instant is rewarded by Bathurst. While exceptional skill in one area lays the groundwork, it does not always translate into competition in another. Rather than relying solely on conjecture, this reality has been verified by drivers who have tried the crossover in both directions. The outcomes themselves provide the proof. There is one driver who entered NASCAR and won right away, and there are others who have shown a sincere desire to go the other way but have not yet done it in a race.